All right, everyone. Welcome to One Nation, a Sports Soccer Magazine Extra, and I am your host, Kirk DeMars, and I've got a special program tonight because in our community, we have an organization that has served and has done lots of great things for Mid-Missouri, and we want to make sure that you get all the information that you need to be able to make a wise decision come tomorrow. We're talking about the Missouri River Regional Library. And I've got some great guests on tonight with me. I have Claudia Young, the director, and as well as Natalie Newville, assistant marketing director. And I'm just going to tell you just about everything else. So, with that, I'm going to go ahead and bring the two of them on. Hey, Claudia, Natalie, how are you guys doing?
We are
Hey, we're doing
good.
great.
We're excited, Kirk, and we're glad to be here.
Yeah, I know you guys have absolutely been just talking to everybody. I mean, you probably even find yourself talking to the dog walking down the street as you're just going out just because you've been telling everybody. So I'm excited to have you guys on here. You do a lot of great things for our community, and we just want to be able to give you an opportunity tonight to be able to share some of the things that are going on right now and in the future. So you ready for that?
Yeah, we're ready.
Yes.
Okay, well, good. Well, Natalie, I'm going to fire off at you right away. First of all, tell everybody about yourself and what you do at the Missouri River Regional Library.
Yeah. So, like Kirk said, my name is Natalie. My husband Kenny and my daughter Catherine and I have all lived here for about 10 years now. And here at the library, I do our marketing and our development. It has been my mission, my goal here to make sure that everyone in our community knows about all of the amazing things that the library is doing. In my personal life, my I love festivals and community events and things that are going on. My family gets to tag along with me because of how much I love those things.
Tag along. I like that. That's what happens, though, isn't it?
Absolutely.
That's great. Claudia, as the director of the library, why don't you tell us what your responsibilities are and then also a little bit about yourself?
I'm happy to. I came to Missouri River Regional Library straight out of library school back in 1996, which was 27 years ago. And I made the joke the other day that nobody believes I started when I was 12. That's kind of old, but I've been here that long. And if you would have told me back in 1996 I would be the library director, I would have laughed and said, no way, that's not going to happen. But in 2014, I applied for this job. And so I've been the director for the last 9 years. Very proud to lead this organization. I, um, I grew up in a little tiny town that didn't have a library. And I was always using my school library and then went off to college and started working in the public library there. So this is my dream job. It's my passion. It's my pastime. Um, my kids will tell you that. And my job is big. It's the responsibility of this whole organization, the smooth operation of it, from customer service desk to the types of services that we provide um, in this community, and then also behind the scenes as far as working with the board of trustees, working with the staff, and making sure that we're making good decisions out in front as I said, behind the scenes with staff as well, because our staff is such a important part of everything we do here. If it weren't for our staff and the great staff that we have, um, we wouldn't be the library that we are today. And it's so very important. That's what people remember about us. They remember how they are treated here and the interactions that we have. And I'm very very aware of customer service and how bad customer service impacts places, and then what great customer service can do for an organization. And so I care about it a lot. The staff have to hear me talk about it. And, there's so much bad customer service out there, and we want to set ourselves apart. And,
Yeah.
and I think that we have. And I couldn't, as much as I love the library and love leading it, I couldn't do everything that we do here. And very dependent on great, creative, dedicated staff.
Yeah, you've got a great staff, and um, I know, just like you said, you have to rely on those people to be able to help it to function. And it is so important to have a welcoming group of people because customer service, like you said, it's continuing to go on the decline all over the place. And when you have those friendly faces and people that are genuinely glad to see you there, that makes a big difference.
Yeah. I like to call people by name. I know so many people from working here the last 27 years. And I love that I know so many people by their first names and they know me. And that's how they are with other staff and kind of like cheers, you know. uh, you know, we know you here and we connect with you and we ask you about your family and things that are going on, and we remember between visits what people are doing, or at least we try. I know many of our staff do. I was out on the first floor today and was thrilled to see so many people I know, all in one day. Because when I work on the desk, it's a couple hours at a time generally, unless I work a weekend. And so just to be out there for 8 hours today talking about what we've got coming up tomorrow, what was a pleasure.
Well, speaking about what you have coming up tomorrow, why don't you go ahead and talk a little bit about Proposition Library and why it's needed?
Well, Proposition Library is asking Cole County voters for an increase to the current 20 cents that they pay in taxes. And so it's asking for a 15-cent increase in, in the library tax. So going up from 20 to 35 cents. What is driving this? A number of factors. Four major critical building issues. We're a 50-year-old building. We have cast iron pipes. We have restrooms and elevators that barely meet ADA. And we have a maxed out technological infrastructure. So just those things alone need to be addressed. But I'm going to go back in time a little bit and explain to you that when our current building was built, we started out with less square footage than was intended. We were always supposed to have a third floor. The levy at that time was voted on in April of 1964. The money was collected, and then when they went to build the building, they didn't have enough money for the third floor, so it never came to pass. When I started here in 1996, they were talking about having space issues then, and we rearranged the shelves to accommodate more materials and more places for people to read, work, study, all the things that people need to do in the library. And so, I always tell that story. We started out with less than was intended. And along with these critical building upgrades, we want to dream bigger. We want to provide more services, more programs, more accessibility. We have a big, big vision for library services in this community, and more space will allow us to have those things and provide those things for the community. And so, if we just address the critical building updates, we will take space away from the public. So, we will have less space. And we just, the board of trustees, the administration, we don't find that to be a good solution. We don't find that to be a solution at all. And we feel strongly about the need for this space. And this addition will add just over 22,000 square feet. So it will completely renovate the existing building, add over 22,000 square feet, and set us up, I think, for the next 50 years. That's the hope.
Very good. Well, thank you. That was very informative. And where can people go to be able to get a little bit more information tonight if they're wanting to be able to dig in? Natalie, where can they go do that at?
Yeah, so they can visit our website. It's www.mrrl.org/election. And all of the information that we talk about tonight and everything is all on there.
Okay. Well, Natalie, I'm giving you the rougher part. Why don't you share with us a little bit about maybe what some opposition is as far as why people are thinking this isn't as good of an idea?
For sure. So I would say over the past week is when we've really started to hear some opposition that's come about. Part of it is people who don't want to pay more taxes, which we understand that. There's never a good time to ask for more funds. And at the library, we have been so responsible and really stretched our dollars, for 50 and 60 years from when the last levy was passed. But it's at that point where we have to do these critical upgrades, and that is just more than what we can do right now with our current budget. We've seen some things where people say that it's a 75% increase, and that's incorrect. Yes, 20 cents to 35 cents is 75%, but your overall tax bill is going up roughly 2.5% is an average, kind of depending on where you live in the county. On our website that we mentioned earlier, we have a spot where you can do the math and kind of figure yourself what it will cost you personally, because it's not just a straight equation, which is something I've definitely learned as we've gone down this. There were things I didn't know about how property taxes were figured until recently. So that's been a thing. Some other stuff that has kind of popped up is people have said there's no accountability, which is definitely not true. Besides the fact that we're required by law to do audits every year, we have a board of trustees that's appointed by Cole County, Osage County, and the city of Jefferson. And so that board definitely oversees everything that happens here. The library is required, just like any other political subdivision or any other tax entity, there's laws that we have to follow just like everyone else. So those are kind of the biggest things that we've seen. Another one that's popped up is the no sunsetting. But with this tax, it's very abnormal for a tax like this to sunset, because once the building is paid off in 25 years, at that point we'll have to start doing maintenance on the building, as well as everything that goes inside of the building. So, we have the staff that run the library, we have the materials, we have the programs and the equipment and all the things that make a public library what it is. So I would say those are kind of the highlights of the things that we've heard, and we've tried to address those on our website and on our social media, just so that people really have that correct information when they head to the polls tomorrow.
Perfect. That's exactly what I wanted to hear, and you did an outstanding job, and you did it so friendly, and that was nice. Very good. Thank you. Well, you guys are flying through, and I really want to get you done here early so that you're able to get home. And I know you guys have been working very hard at it. So I'm going to take a quick break. We'll come back and we'll do our second segment, and we'll have a little bit more fun, and then let you guys go home. How's that sound?
Great.
Sounds great.
All right. Sounds good.
Services has been connecting employees with employers since 1977. Recently, CNS rebranded to CNS Employment Solutions to more clearly define their mission of serving the needs of applicants, employees, and businesses while remaining current and evolving with the changes in the workforce. One important thing has not changed. CNS Employment Solutions partners with a wide variety of employers, placing employees in jobs that match their skills and needs.
Say yes to CNS.
All right, CNS Employment Solutions, they do an outstanding job of making sure that people get hooked up as far as people that need a job with an employer that needs to hire people, as well as helping those employers find the qualified candidates that they need. Paula, Benny, and her team do an outstanding job. They do a great job in accomplishing getting those employment goals for our community, as well as they get out in the community. So just a great group of people at CNS Employment Solutions. We appreciate everything that they do in this community and for our program. Also, I want to give a quick shout out to Big Whiskeys. They have our Coach of the Issue, and they feature those coaches who sometimes just go behind the scenes. Nobody ever really notices them. They notice all the student athletes and all the hard work that they do. But special shout out to Big Whiskeys for making sure that coaches get their just due. So thank you to them. All right, we're having a great interview tonight with Missouri River Regional Library. We have Natalie Newville and Claudia Young. They are doing a great job talking about Proposition Library. So with that, we're going to bring the two of them back on and we'll finish up. All right, did you guys get a quick little break? Was that okay?
Yes, it was. I took a
Great.
sip of water. I'm ready to talk some more, Kirk.
Okay, well, you're still smiling. You're still smiling, and you didn't leave, so that's good.
I
Very
can
good.
talk about the library all day long. Well, I guess I pretty much do every day. So
Well, that's good, and you have been even more so, right?
yeah.
All right. Well, Claudia, why don't you tell us a little bit about the benefits of having Missouri River Regional Library right here in Jefferson City?
Exactly. Earlier I told you that I grew up in a town that didn't have a library. So I know what it's like, not to have a library in your town and have it in a neighboring town where you have to pay a membership fee and that sort of thing. And I always wanted that and didn't always have one. So I give my parents a hard time about that. We use my aunt's card from time to time. So um, she had one. She lived in that town. But anyway, I'll get off that. Good thing my mom and dad aren't listening. But really, truly, in all seriousness, having a library in your town is really part of having a thriving community. We're a learning institution. We provide access to information, lifelong learning opportunities, and support literacy in all forms. So those things, and also we contribute to the social fabric of this community. We provide a place for people to connect. We talk about the programs that we offer all the time for all ages, from lap times and sensory plays for little tiny people, to craft programs and informational lectures. For instance, we have a program with Lincoln. It's like taking a class without having to take the test. Um, we have DIY programs. We have technology programs. We employ a technology librarian to help people learn new technologies. And so there are just so many ways for the library to help an individual be their best selves. Natalie is going to talk probably a little bit about our resources and how one can use our resources to better themselves. And I'm a big believer in that. I'm a big believer in that the library is the people's university, and that there is that potential to become your best self here, by using our resources. And with that, I'm going to let Natalie talk a little bit about some of those things that we
Well,
have.
you did good because that was my question, and you just segued right into it. So there you go, Natalie. Tell us.
I
That
know.
was good. It was nice. Yeah. So the things that the library has, the resources that we have, I always like to kind of break it down into the things we have inside the library and the things we have outside of the library. Obviously, books, that is a given, and everyone always expects us to have books. We have more than just that, though. We have things like BookBox, which is a subscription service. You can fill out a form and tell us what kind of genres or authors you like or don't like. And then we will select a bundle of books for you that you kind of can be surprised about. We're very proud of that program because we started it here in 2019, and now there are libraries all over the country who are using a similar program. Besides books, we obviously have programs. We love to partner with local businesses and organizations, and sometimes even national ones. NASA has been at our library during the eclipse and did programming with us. We have a computer lab, a computer center where you can come. We have people who fill out job applications, fill out forms, they do their taxes. We also have a 3D printer, which when people hear that, they think of it for fun tchotchke type things. But we have families in our community who have special needs children, and they use our 3D printer to print devices for their kids' wheelchairs and feeding tubes. So it's not just fun stuff. It's very life-changing things. And then, the things that we have outside of the library, our website is a great resource where you can go and take classes on how to do new crafts. You can learn customer service skills. If you're a small business, there's a ton of things available for you on our website where you can learn about it. The great thing is with so many of these things, you just use your library card. If you live in Cole or Osage County, there's not an additional charge to come and get a membership. I had one person ask me today about membership, and I was like, it sounds very exclusive when you call it that. I love it. But there are so many things that people don't realize that we have. They think that all we do is books and story times. In 2022, we had 158,000 people come through our doors, and we're anticipating those numbers being much higher this year already. So the sheer number of people that come in and not just even on our building, but on our bookmobile that goes out in the county. We do offsite programs out in Wardsville and Taos, and we're hoping to expand. We have book lockers all over the county. And so those are things that we're trying to bring the library to other people, but it's just amazing the things that we have.
Yeah, it is.
And we'll even take books to people's homes. We have a homebound service that we want more people to utilize. We bring the library to you, whether you've been in the hospital or you can't drive. That's something that's so important. Another way to connect.
Yeah.
And having our one-on-one tech time, and I'm going to kind of leave off with that because obviously I have a preview of what the next question is, and I think that it'll be a great segue for Claudia.
Right.
But we have a one-on-one tech time where if there's a device that you don't know how to use, you can book an appointment with a staff member, and they will teach you how to use, your cell phone or your iPad. It's great. I like to tell the joke, and if you've heard our presentations in the community, you've heard this joke, but I love it because unlike your kids or your grandkids, we pay our staff not to roll their eyes at you when you're asking questions about technology. But Claudia we have a great story about one-on-one tech time it's truly life-changing. And it's my favorite story of all time when it comes to how a library can impact someone's life.
Well, you've set that one up well too. So Claudia, why don't you go ahead
You're like that.
Yeah, why don't you go ahead and give us an example of how
I have
it's
several
helped?
stories. I do have several stories, and that's one of them. And it's one that you can actually watch on our election page. We have that story and a couple of others. This one is about a gentleman named Mike, and so his wife called the library looking for some training for him. He had recently been diagnosed with aphasia. He wasn't going to be working. They knew that he was going to lose his ability to speak eventually, and that he was going to have memory loss. And so she wanted to keep him busy, engaged, and she just randomly decided to call the library, connected with one of our staff. And so Mike started meeting with a staff person almost every week. And I think that fluctuated over the couple of years that they worked together. But Nikki was the name of the former staff member, and she met with Mike. They recorded his voice. She showed him how to record music, how to do a number of different things, and also helped him. For instance, his wife tells the story about how she would tell him she made a notebook for him, so he could go to the notebook and review how to send a text message, how to attach a photo and include it in a text message. Just very, very specific instructions because he was losing his memory rapidly. And so that book was very important to him. And so she would also tell him, like he had an assignment to text not only herself, but a couple of people that she was in the office with. So he would come and have these times with Nikki, these instructional times. And I know John was in that office, and one other person. And so they all got to know Mike, got to know each other. They look forward to seeing him. And his wife talked so much about that interaction with the staff and how meaningful it was to Mike, that he felt like he belonged someplace, and that his quality of life was better because of the interactions that he had here at the library. And they have his voice recorded, his family, his children, his grandchildren. He was a musician. They were able to record his music, and that's a pretty impactful story, and it's touching. If anybody who's listening has time to go to our website and listen to her story, I would encourage you do so. Um,
That's very good.
but I do have a couple other favorites, if I could,
Yes, go. Yes,
if you'll
absolutely.
allow me. One is a woman who spent time in our business computer center, and about 3 months she worked on cover letters and sent out resumes and made copies. And we have paper and envelopes she can buy at a very minimal cost. And so after 3 months, she got a job. And when she got her first paycheck, she gave the library a donation of $300
Wow.
because she felt like we had been so instrumental in her success, and she wanted to give back. And I was so touched by that. Another story that Natalie recently shared was about a young couple who was trying really hard to pay off their home, and they used library resources. They're big readers. The husband, when he met his wife, he told her the library was essential. He used it all the time, and I don't think she was as big a user, and she became one. But they checked out movies and used our resources instead of buying those resources and movies and books and all the things that they did. And they saved money, and they paid off their house early, and they told their story. They said that they felt the library had helped them still have a lot of great resources to use. They didn't feel like they were deprived at all, and they paid off their house early. And they gave us a couple of very large donations to show us their appreciation. And the woman also served on our foundation for a while before they started having a family. And then they started having a family, and her time got really limited. But that was a great story. And then another one I like to share is I was working at the Munichburg Festival a few years ago, and a woman came up to me and she said, "You're the director of the library, aren't you?" And I said, "Yes, I am." And she said, "Well, I want to tell you that I started a business by using your computer center. I didn't have resources. I didn't have a computer. I didn't have a fax machine. I didn't have scanning capabilities. I didn't have any of that. And I started using all your resources, and I started a business, and I wanted to thank you." And it was the fall, and we always do our annual appeal letter, and we start writing it in November. And I said, "Can I get your name and number, because we want to share your story with more people?" And so she was the focus of a story that we put out at the end of the year. And it's one of my favorites too, because she used our resources to better her lot in life. And she was so gracious, just like the other two people I mentioned, so gracious, and really felt the library had made a huge difference in their lives.
Well, those were great. Those were absolutely great stories, and that shows the great customer service you have, Claudia, because you have somebody come up to you outside of them and say, "You're the director of the library, aren't you?" And it's just that brief second, you're like, "Why do you ask?"
Yeah, she did have a smile on her face. I did take note of that. She looked friendly.
Yeah, very good.
Yes.
Very good. Well, we're gonna ask Natalie again another tough question kind of deal, but then we'll let you both have some closing statements. And then I've really enjoyed this and really appreciated both of you being on here. But Natalie, what happens if Proposition Library doesn't pass?
Yeah, so like Claudia talked about earlier, there are some critical upgrades, some things that have to happen in the library. So if this doesn't pass, those upgrades still have to happen. But unfortunately, at that point in time, we would have to take away public space to make them happen. In order for our bathrooms and our elevators to be big enough to be accessible in today's world, they take up more space that we don't have right now. So they would come out into the public space, and there would be less space for the public to use the library. We would also be closed during that time, probably in stages. So it would be an interruption of services for a longer period of time. it would just be very interrupted. We're also looking, at decreased library outreach and partnership development, a potential phase out for some of our existing outreach programming that we do out in Cole County, as well as a reduction in the budget for our high demand resources. So one of the things, especially as Claudia and I have been out and talking to the community, a question we often get is about our ebooks and our e-audio and all of our online resources. Those are very expensive, and it's not like you just purchase an ebook once and then your library has it forever. After so many checkouts, we have to repurchase it again. So those are things that we're hopeful with Proposition Library that we'll be able to add more to that, because it's a huge request and need out in our community. If it doesn't pass, I don't know that that's something that we're going to be able to do. And then also just the absence of the innovative technology and learning spaces to assist with workforce and small business development. We have worked really hard to help our community in that way, but we're kind of tapped out on what we can do with that. I always like to compare it, as we've gone out and talked and done this. I compare it to the public schools. My daughter goes to parochial school, so my family personally doesn't benefit with our public schools, but my family has supported the initiatives in the past that the public schools have done, because we recognize that having a good public school system benefits our entire community. And so even if people don't use the library themselves personally, a good public library that we can address all these things we've talked about is so beneficial. We want Jefferson City to grow. We want Cole County to grow. Those are things that had a lot of conversations, both in our local government and just out in the community. And a strong, vibrant public library helps our community grow.
Outstanding. Great job. You guys have done amazing. It's been awesome. I do want to give both of you one, final comment that each of you would like to make. So Claudia, we'll go ahead and start with you. Just any final comment that you have.
Well, I'm hopeful about tomorrow. I know that from all the speaking engagements that Natalie and I have had the last 3 months, we've really been inspired by the things that people have told us and the ways that the library has impacted so many people's lives. I'm definitely in the right business, and I do want to remind people that even though you may not use the library, just as Natalie mentioned about her family and being parochial school people and versus public school, the library is a lifeline for so many people, and there are a number of resources that just aren't affordable to many citizens in this town, and the library having that access is so important. It's a huge part of what we do as a library, providing access, leveling the playing field for everyone. And with this proposition, we will be more equipped to do that. The resources that we have, we're gonna build on them and increase the level of service and the type of service, and even the type of staff who will help people with those services. We envision this innovation center on the second floor, and those resources you will not be able to find anywhere in this community. We will be the only place that has these resources, and the only people, the only entity in town that have the staff to train people on these resources, and they'll be for everybody, and supported by taxpayer dollars. And so I do hope people who don't use the library will reconsider using the library too, because it's really your taxpayer. You're paying for it. Paying for it. And there's a lot of great resources. And we couldn't even touch on all of them. As Natalie was talking, she was hitting so many of them, but I wanted to jump in and say, oh, we have movie streaming, we have STEAM kits, So I'm doing it now. We have hotspots. We have iPads. We have, I mean, the list goes on and on. We keep adding things. We want to do more. And we know that there's more we can do, but it takes more resources, and that's what I want for this community. I want this library to be, a beacon. I want it to be the type of library that a capital city should have. I want it to be a place where people want to come visit. I want kids to beg their parents to come here, because the children's department is just so magical, and just that's what I want. I want more for this community. I want more for this community, and I always have. I think we do a terrific job, but I know in my heart we can do more, and that's what my hope is, that tomorrow that we'll be able to do more for our community.
Very good. Great. All right, Natalie, your turn.
Yeah, obviously, a lot of what Claudia said, I feel as well. Um, I think ultimately we are so grateful for our community. We've gone and talked to so many groups, and not just groups, civic groups, and that kind of thing, but we've done things at the library where people can come and hear about our plans. And it's been so encouraging to see all of the people who support the library, who recognize our value, who see what we do for the community. And it's just as the library staff, we're so grateful. No matter how tomorrow goes, we're very thankful to our community and our supporters and all of the people that love the library, love the institution. And we're hopeful for tomorrow. Kind of tonight very much feels like Christmas Eve as a child. We're nervous and we're excited, and we're very hopeful to see what the outcome is, but we're also so grateful to the people in our community who have supported us along this way. And so no matter what, we want to say thank you to all of them.
Well, you guys are great representatives, and I just want to say thank you for all that you do in our community. My daughter, she spent a lot of time, my wife would take her, we homeschooled her, and she spent a lot of time at the library. And so she checked out lots of resources, and now she homeschools her children in Colorado. So she's got 5 kids. So they use the resources there as well. So you do a great thing, and if one of you would go ahead and just again give how they can look up the information, to go to the website, if you could do that for me one more time, please.
Absolutely. You can visit our website at www.mrrl.org/election, and it's got the information on Proposition Library. It's got how to figure what you would owe individually, and just lots of great facts to help you make your decision tomorrow.
Well, you guys did outstanding. I'm going to have you hold on for just a moment while I close out the program, so I can just quickly say, a few more things to you. But thank you so much, you guys. Outstanding job, and I'm glad that you're getting to go home tonight and get some rest. Hopefully.
I don't think we're going to sleep anyway. So
okay, yeah, like you said, Christmas Eve, right? Yeah. Again, thank you so much, and I'll talk to you both here in just a moment.
Okay.
All right, we have had a great interview with Claudia Young and Natalie Newville of the Missouri River Regional Library. They were talking to us tonight about Proposition Library that people will be voting on tomorrow. So make sure you get out and vote. That's an important thing that we need to do as citizens in our community, and we want to be supportive in those things that are going to help make our community better. This has been a little bit of a different program, but I know how important this is. I mean, we talk about student athletes, and we need to remember the student and the student athletes. So I wanted to make sure that we had them on the program tonight, so you guys can have all the information that you needed. All right, this is your host, Kirk DeMars, on One Nation, a Sports Locker Magazine Extra. Thank you for joining us tonight, and we will look forward to seeing you again next week. God bless you.